When you think of the Kente cloth, chances are you imagine the bold, intricate patterns, the vibrant colors, and the Asante people of Ghana. But what if I told you the story began centuries earlier among a different people, and that this vibrant textile even connects back to the ancient Hebrews? This is the story of the Ewe, a people whose mastery of weaving, trade, and design shaped one of Africa's most iconic cultural treasures, the Kente. From their ancient migrations through powerful West African kingdoms to the modern fashion runways, their influence has been quietly woven into history. The word Kente itself comes from the Ewe word Kete, meaning to open and press tightly, describing the physical process of weaving on the loom. A deeper etymological connection can be seen when comparing the word Kete or Kente to the Hebrew word ketenet. It is derived from an unused root meaning to cover and refers to a garment. Notably, the word shares the same consonants as the terms Kete and Kente, suggesting a retained distant memory. While the Asante share a folk tale about the spider Ananse teaching weaving, the Ewe pass down a more grounded explanation rooted in the hands-on skill of their artisans. This is not legend. It is craft perfected over centuries. Archaeology takes us further back. Within the former Ghana Empire, textiles dating to over 1,000 years ago have been discovered in Iron Age graves. Those woven fabrics, preserved against all odds, tell us that West Africans were mastering the loom long before European contacts. And here's where it gets interesting. Linguistic traces in the Ewe language connect directly to this ancient empire. Words like du, meaning town or city, in the word Wagadu, mega, meaning leader, in Kaya Maga, and da, meaning serpent, in the word Bida. Each tie back to the Ghana Empire's history and belief systems. The Ewe carried these weaving traditions with them during their migrations. Over centuries, Ewe weaving evolved and spread. In Nigeria, it became known as popo cloth. In Benin, the Aja Ewe kingdom of Alada was a textile powerhouse in the 15th and 16th centuries. In Togo, weaving was common among Ewe communities. In Ghana's Volta region, towns like Agotime, Keta, Agbozome, and many more still uphold this tradition. The Bible preserves a distant echo of this tradition. In 1 Chronicles 4 verse 21, Lada, a descendant of Judah, is named as the forefather of those who made fine linen. Lada, or Alada. The names sound strikingly alike. And Ashbia, from that same lineage, it mirrors Ashigbe, a family name among Ewe master weavers in Agbozume and Keta. Even Joseph's famous coat of many colors in Genesis takes on new meaning when you understand that in Ewe symbolism, colors are codes: blue and white for purity, green for fertility, and multicolored for royalty, etc. Historical accounts reveal that during the Asante Wars against Ewe land, 1869 to 1872, Ewe master weavers who were captured by Asante warriors were taken to Asante, where they were compelled to serve as weavers for the Asante Hene. The king strictly reserved the wearing of the cloth for himself, prohibiting its use among his subjects. Following the abolition of slavery, some Ewe master weavers migrated to La Côte d'Ivoire, where their craft flourished and the Kete cloth gained significant popularity in Bonduku. Although the Bonduku cloth bears striking similarities to Kete design, historical evidence indicates that the earliest examples of both Asante Kete and Bonduku Kete date only to the 19th century. It is therefore clear that Ewe master weavers played a pivotal role in the dissemination and establishment of Kete weaving across West Africa. Later in the 70s and 80s, a surge in patronage and commercialization of the cloth by Asante traders prompted a wave of migrations of Ewe master weavers to Bonware, which was emerging as the Kete weaving town in Asante region. The first Kete festival ever held in Ghana, it was in Agotime before Bonware became famous. In his book titled The Slave Coast of West Africa, 1550 to 1750, The Impact of the Atlantic Slave Trade on an African Society, Oxford Studies in African Affairs, Professor Robin Law writes, cotton textiles even became a major export from the slave coast, being bought by European traders for resale on the Gold Coast to the west. The earliest reference to this export of cloth is in an account of Portuguese trade in Alada in 1620. Two cotton gowns said to have belonged to the king of Alada were included in a collection of curiosities assembled by a merchant of Ulm in Germany in the 1650s. Law 1991, page 55. This predates the founding of the Asante Kingdom by more than 80 years, making it clear that the Ewe were weaving luxury cloth long before Asante involvement. The Kete cloth has undergone a remarkable process of evolution. In its earliest forms, Kete was woven exclusively with a single type of yarn, depending on what was locally available. Within West Africa, cotton was cultivated primarily in Ebeland, particularly in the Alada region of Benin, and thus early Kete was made from hand-spun cotton. Originally, the designs were composed of stripes rather than squares. Over time, however, the cloth began to absorb external influences, especially through the introduction of imported textiles. Among the most significant was the Indian textile commonly referred to as Indian cloth or Guinea cloth. This fabric, featuring vertical and horizontal stripes, was introduced by the Portuguese, heavily marketed by the Danes. Because of its affordability and wide availability, Guinea cloth gained immense popularity not only in West Africa but also across sub-Saharan Africa, reaching as far as East and Central Africa. At one point, this influx of imported fabric nearly undermined the indigenous Kete weaving industry. The master weavers responded with resilience and innovation. To remain relevant, they began incorporating square motifs into their striped designs, blending their indigenous aesthetic with elements inspired by imported cloth. Later, with the introduction of silk and rayon through global trade, Ewe weavers further expanded their creative palette. These new fibers added luster and texture to the cloth, and their blending became a defining feature of modern Kete weaving. Today's Kete exemplifies this fusion of tradition and adaptation, showcasing the ingenuity of its weavers. A prime historical example can be seen in the attire of Togbi Dagadu III, who was once the paramount ruler of Pando, a vast and influential region of Eveland. his garments reflect this stylistic synthesis, embodying both the endurance of the weaving traditions and their capacity to reinvent themselves in the face of global textile competition. The history of the Kete cloth is ancient, transcends cultures, ethnic groups, and even continents. At its core, it is interwoven with Ewe creativity and mastery, enveloping the wearer just as the cloth itself enfolds the body. So while the Asante have undeniably popularized Kete cloth, its roots run deeper, back to the Ewe, to the Ghana Empire, and to the House of Judah itself. It is not just a fabric. It is a story of migration, survival, artistry, and identity. This is our story. It is time the world knew it.
I met a man, his name's Duncan, and he's been one of the distributors to these museums, not only here but in America as well.
What I have is vintage West African textiles, but we're going to concentrate on the Ghanaian ones.
Yeah.
So these are Ewe Kente, or these are also Ewe.
Okay.
And then at the top are Ashanti.
Oh wow. Which would be your oldest here, would you say?
My oldest Ghanaian fabric at the moment would be probably this piece.
Yeah.
Same.
Okay, yeah. See the patterns.
Yeah, the pattern is more simple.
Yeah.
On this one, there are 3 of these weft blocks with 2 patterns in between. It tends to be a sign of earlier pieces.
Au fufu agoka e majema, shei kuku agoka